Hello, YouTube. This is Mage Powered. I'm coming to you with a deck that came from the OCG this time. But I'm talking about this because this is one of my favorite decks. If you've seen my video on Code Talkers, you know that I can talk for Code Talkers for a long time. Obviously, that was a very long video. There'll be a thing up over here. Gonna leave a tag over here that'll link you to that if you're interested in watching. It is a long video though, but it's a very in-depth discussion on playing Code Talkers. Now this is a variant that I don't believe I discussed in the video. This is Heat Soul Control. In the OCG, this is a version that we can't play in the TCG because we are missing Heat Soul, and this is actually doing pretty well. Over the last few weeks, we've seen this build actually consistently top. This time it took third place at a 2v2 event, going 2-1 over Thunder Dragon, 2-1 over Dragon Maid, 2-0 over Tri Brigade, 1-2 versus Hero, 2-1 over Virtual World, 1-1 draw over Zodiac, and 2-0 over Zodiac. So overall, this is a very good list, but obviously if you watched my video, you'll see there's a few things I might question in this video. But without further ado, let's get into the cards that were played here. Starting off right away, we have 3 Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom, obviously, generally good staple. 1 Backup Secretary. If you watch the video, you'll find a card that I like better than Backup Secretary. However, Backup Secretary still can do the job. We have 2 Code Generator. Good card. I personally like it as a 1-of, but 2 is also good, especially considering the ratios in this deck. I understand why he played 2. 2 Cyber's Gadget. This is a very good card, and I've said for a long time I've considered playing more than 1. I personally still only play 1, but very good card. I think this card, even outside of Cyber's decks, could see play. It's a very good normal summon. Then we have 2 Dotscaper. This one confused me because Dotscaper's effects are once per duel and once per turn. So I'm a bit scratching my head on the 2 Dotscapers and why not 1 Dotscaper and something like a Sea Archiver. Anyways, there's 3 Lady Debugs. This is the Stratos of the deck. 1 Math Mech Edition. Essentially, this card lets you special summon itself from your hand by giving something 1,000 attack. So, free extender for you, plus a 1,000 attack boost. That's not bad. And I also did cover this. Then we have 3 Microcoder. This is going to be your other main searcher of the deck. You use this to link summon for a Code Talker monster from the hand. You search for a Signet spell or trap. Then going into the spells, we have 1 Signet Mining. This one also confused me. It's the spell card that lets you search for whatever you need out of your deck. I don't know why this isn't at 3 in this build, but obviously it worked, I guess. We have 1 Monster Reborn, good card. 1 1-for-1, good card. 3 Pot of Desires. I can understand it, but there are some 1-ofs in this deck, so that does make me scratch my head a little bit. Then we have 1 Scapegoat. The odd part is he actually mained 1 Scapegoat and sided 1 Scapegoat, because Scapegoat is at 2 in the OCG. So that was a little odd to me. However, Scapegoat in general, it's a pretty good card. Okay. And then we have a large trap lineup. We have 3 Compulsory Evacuation Device, 2 Crackdowns, 1 Signet Conflict, 1 Imperial Order, 3 Infinite Impermanence, 3 Solemn Judgment, and 3 Solemn Strike. This is a large number of traps. I do wonder if the amount of Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strikes ever did become a problem in terms of life points. I was a bit curious in a trap build why you wouldn't play a second Signet Conflict. This card's a very powerful card. Essentially is Infernity Barrier that banishes anything and says you can't activate anything with the same name either. All you have to do is control a Code Talker monster, which is not a hard thing to do. So that confused me a little bit. However, I think overall I'm not that confused by the traps themselves. They're all solid trap cards, and I think most people on watching this video would agree that these are solid traps. But like I said, I personally would look at maybe swapping out one of the strikes for a conflict, possibly even swapping something else for a third conflict. Obviously, as I say all the time, test out, do what you think works, and go from there. Getting into the extra deck, we have 2 access code talkers, 1 code talker, 1 code talker inverted, 1 decode talker heat soul. The reason this card becomes the main focus of the deck for a lot of times, this card essentially is decode talker, except once per turn during either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points to draw a card. So every turn you get to draw an extra card. So, oh, it's my turn, I draw a card. Oh, it's your turn, I draw a card. Oh, it's my turn, I draw a card. And it keeps going over and over. And then it says if you have 2,000 or less life points when you draw one card, you can banish Heat Soul from the field and special summon a Link 3 or lower Cyberse monster from your extra deck, except for Heat Soul. So you can summon out anything with that if you get low enough. But that's not necessarily why you play it. You play it because you're going to be drawing a lot of cards and you're going to be able to get to your trap cards, setting them and using them. And it's essentially a turbo trap deck at that point. Then we have 1 Firewall Dragon. Obviously, this card just came back with an errata, and it helps Cyberse decks. This is a Cyberse deck. Makes sense. 1 Lingeribo. This card stops trap cards, especially in a format where there are more trap cards. This is pretty good. Plus, it's also generic 1 level 4 lower Cyberse. Makes sense. 1 Link Spooter. Obviously, with Scapegoat, this makes sense. 1 Link Karibo, again with Scapegoat, this makes sense. Also, there's cards like Dotscaper in the deck, so Link Karibo is a very easy and obvious choice. 1 Almirage. Almirage, I guess, makes sense, but I probably would have just preferred with how they have it built to go for a second Link Karibo. Then we have 1 Security Dragon. Security Dragon is a card I haven't seen played that recently, but it's still a pretty good card. Basically, while it's co-linked, you can target a monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So it makes sense why this could see play in a Code Talker deck, because Code Talkers do easily co-link their monsters. Then we have 2 Splash Mage. Splash Mage is probably the best link 2 for Cyberse monsters in the game, in my opinion. Essentially, this is a monster reborn for any Cyberse monster that's not a Link, because it has to summon in defense. And then you get Cyberse locked, and the effects of it are negated. But it's still, essentially, you use 2 monsters to make this, and then this can turn itself into a Link 3 on its own. So it allows you to go into something like Heat Soul for free. And then finally, we have 2 copies of Transcode Talker. Transcode Talker is a card that you target a link in your grave, link 3 or lower, and you summon it to the zone that it points to, and anything that is code-linked with cannot be targeted, and it gains 500, and it also does this to itself. This is the other bread and butter of the deck alongside Heat Soul, and very good card overall. Moving on to the side deck, we have 3 Artifact Lancia. Lancia obviously being very good in both the TCG format, appears itself at 3 in the OCG as well. We have 1 Droll and Lockbird. This one was a bit weird why you would only play 1, because he is not playing Crossout Designator. Then we have 2 Maxi. Then we have 2 Nibiru. We have 2 Cosmic Cyclones, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, There's the other scapegoat that I mentioned, 2 anti-spell fragrance, and 1 red reboot. So overall, I'm a bit questioning the side deck ratios. Although I do understand the side deck is tight, so you might not be able to get everything you want into it, but that does seem a little bit odd. Anyways, I did enjoy looking and seeing Code Talkers actually having success in the OCG. If you did like this video, leave a thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm down below what you think you would change to this deck list. Anyways, this has been Mage Power. United we stand, in Mage Power we trust.